Hello, passionate Celtic FC fans. This is Celtic Central News, your exclusive source for Celtic updates. Before we kick off, we appreciate the incredible support. If you love Celtic, subscribe now, hit like, and let's build this community together. Now, onto the latest news. A warm welcome to new subscribers. Your support is crucial. Hail, hail. The noise around Callum McGregor has turned into a low rumble that refuses to die down. And inside the corridors of Celtic, the whispers feel heavier than ever. From what is being murmured, this wasn't a simple disagreement or a fleeting clash of egos, but something deeper that touched nerves across the dressing room and spilled quietly into offices upstairs. Folk close to the situation are saying the captain reached a breaking point, and when he spoke, he didn't hold back. His words, according to the rumor mill, cut through the room like a blade, leaving teammates stunned and directors scrambling to understand how it had reached this stage. The sense is that what he did, or perhaps how he did it, didn't sit right with anyone involved. Some players felt exposed, others felt dragged into a situation they never agreed to, and a few felt betrayed by a figure they had trusted for years. It is being said that not a single member of the squad openly backed the move, at least not in the immediate aftermath. And that silence spoke louder than shouting ever could. In a club built on unity and shared purpose, this kind of fracture is rare, and that rarity is exactly why the story has taken on a life of its own. As the speculation grows, there is a feeling that this was never about one isolated moment, but rather about months of simmering frustration that finally boiled over. People around Lennoxtown are muttering that McGregor had tried to raise concerns behind closed doors, choosing calm words and respectful tones, only to feel like those concerns were being parked and politely ignored. The rumor suggests that the explosion came when he realized the gap between the dressing room and the boardroom was widening instead of closing. Players are said to have felt uncomfortable not because they disagreed with his worries, but because of the way it unfolded, sudden and impossible to contain. Some insiders claim the timing caught everyone off guard, turning what could have been a measured internal discussion into a public talking point that now threatens to overshadow everything else. The directors, meanwhile, are rumored to be furious, not just at the message, but at the method, believing lines were crossed that should never be crossed at a club of this stature. There is talk that trust has been dented on both sides, and once trust cracks, repairing it takes more than apologies and meetings. Inside the dressing room, the mood is said to be tense in a way that is hard to describe unless you have lived it. Players are reportedly going through the motions, training together, laughing when the cameras are about, but always aware of an elephant sitting squarely in the middle of the room. Some feel McGregor spoke for them without permission. Others feel he spoke truths they were too scared to voice, and that division alone is enough to unsettle any squad. The rumor doing the rounds is that a senior group met privately, without coaches or staff, trying to figure out where they stand and whether they should rally around their captain or distance themselves for the sake of stability. No clear answer emerged, only more questions and a growing sense that this saga is far from finished. In a club where leadership has always been cherished, the idea that the captain could be isolated, even temporarily, is unsettling. Supporters are picking sides based on fragments of information, fueling the fire without ever seeing the full picture. What makes the situation even more volatile is the belief that the board never expected this level of internal pushback. According to the whispers, they thought any unrest would be manageable, contained within polite conversations and carefully worded statements. Instead, they are now dealing with a narrative that paints them as distant and disconnected, and that is a dangerous image for a club that prides itself on tradition and togetherness. It is being said that emergency meetings have taken place, not to resolve the footballing issues themselves, but to control the fallout and protect the club's image. Some directors are rumored to feel personally attacked, interpreting McGregor's actions as a challenge to their authority rather than a plea for change. That interpretation has only hardened positions, making compromise harder to reach. In this climate, even small gestures are scrutinized, and every word spoken in public is weighed for hidden meaning. Among the support, the reaction is as split as it is emotional. Some fans are said to admire the courage it takes for a captain to stand up and say enough is enough, especially when doing so risks personal fallout. Others worry that airing grievances, however justified, only weakens the club from within and hands ammunition to rivals. The rumor mill thrives on this division, spinning stories of dressing room mutinies and boardroom standoffs that may be exaggerated but feel believable enough to cause concern. What is clear, at least from the outside, is that the harmony that once defined the club has been shaken. Even those trying to downplay the issue admit something significant has happened, something that cannot simply be brushed aside with a press conference and a handshake. As this first chapter of the saga unfolds, the biggest question remains unanswered. Did McGregor misjudge the moment, or did he simply reach the end of his patience? The answer depends on who you ask, and that alone tells you how fractured opinions have become. For now, everything feels suspended in the air, unresolved and uncomfortable, with every training session and every appearance watched through the lens of this controversy. The rumor is no longer just a rumor. It is a shadow hanging over the club, and everyone is waiting to see who blinks first. The second part of this unfolding drama digs even deeper into the consequences that could follow, and the whispers suggest that what happens next might reshape relationships at the club for a long time. There is talk that the hierarchy is considering firm action, not necessarily as punishment, but as a statement of control. Some sources hint that McGregor has been quietly asked to clarify his position, to explain whether he sees himself as a bridge between players and directors or as a voice willing to challenge the system head-on. That distinction matters, because one role is welcomed, while the other is seen as a threat. Players are said to be watching closely, aware that how this is handled will signal how safe they are to speak up in the future. If the captain can be sidelined or overruled, what hope does anyone else have of being heard? On the flip side, there are murmurs that the board is underestimating the respect McGregor still commands, even among those uncomfortable with his actions. While the squad may not have accepted what he did, that does not mean they have stopped trusting him as a leader on the pitch and in the changing room. This gray area is where the real tension lies. The rumor is that several influential players have privately urged calm, suggesting that escalating the situation would only deepen the divide and make reconciliation harder. They believe a compromise is possible, but only if egos are left at the door and honest conversations take place away from the spotlight. Whether that advice is being heeded is another matter entirely. There is also speculation about how the wider football world is viewing this saga. Agents and rival clubs are said to be paying attention, not because they expect immediate fallout, but because moments like this reveal cracks that can be exploited later. A club perceived as unstable becomes vulnerable, and that perception alone can have lasting effects. The directors are reportedly aware of this risk, adding another layer of pressure to resolve the issue quickly, even if a quick resolution does not mean a healthy one. Rushing to close ranks might calm headlines, but it could leave underlying problems festering beneath the surface. Supporters, meanwhile, are left trying to read between the lines of carefully managed statements and controlled appearances. Every gesture, every interview, every omission is dissected for clues. Some fans believe the silence from certain figures speaks volumes, while others caution against jumping to conclusions based on incomplete information. The rumor culture thrives in this environment, filling gaps with speculation that feels increasingly plausible as official clarity remains scarce. In pubs and online spaces, debates rage about loyalty, leadership, and the balance of power within the club, reflecting a fanbase wrestling with its own identity as much as the team is. As days pass, the emotional toll is said to be mounting. McGregor himself is rumored to be carrying the weight heavily, aware that his actions have put him at odds with people he has worked alongside for years. Those close to him claim he does not regret speaking out, but regrets the pain it has caused within the squad. That distinction matters to him, even if it does little to ease the current tension. The board, on the other hand, is believed to feel that lines must be drawn to prevent future challenges, even if doing so risks alienating a key figure. This clash of principles, rather than personalities, may be what makes the situation so difficult to untangle. In the end, this whole episode feels less like a single controversy and more like a turning point. Whether it leads to renewed understanding or deeper division remains to be seen, but the rumor suggests the club will not simply return to business as usual. Something has shifted, something fundamental about how voices are heard and how power is exercised. For now, all anyone can do is watch, listen, and speculate, knowing that whatever happens next will echo far beyond this moment, shaping narratives and relationships for seasons to come. The longer this situation drags on, the more it starts to feel like a slow-burning fire rather than a sudden explosion, and those closest to the club are saying that this is the most dangerous kind of crisis. There is a growing belief that unresolved tension is now seeping into everyday routines, subtly changing how players interact, how staff communicate, and how decisions are interpreted. What once would have been seen as a normal instruction or a harmless comment is now filtered through suspicion, with folk wondering what lies beneath the surface. The rumor doing the rounds is that trust, once cracked, is proving incredibly difficult to rebuild, especially when no one wants to be the first to blink. In private conversations, there is said to be an acknowledgement that the issue is no longer just about what was said or done, but about what it represents. For some, it symbolizes a lack of listening from above, while for others it represents a dangerous precedent of challenging authority in a very public way. That clash of interpretations has created a stalemate, and stalemates rarely end cleanly in environments driven by pressure and expectation. Another layer to this story is the suggestion that mediators have quietly stepped in, figures who understand both the dressing room culture and the realities of the boardroom. These individuals are rumored to be attempting to cool heads, urging all sides to step back and consider the long-term consequences of letting pride dictate the outcome. According to whispers, these talks are delicate, almost fragile, because one wrong word could undo weeks of careful groundwork. There is an understanding that any solution forced too quickly could explode again later, perhaps in a way that causes even greater damage. Players are said to be receptive to these calming voices, desperate for a sense of normality to return, while still hoping their concerns will not be swept aside. The uncertainty is exhausting, and that emotional fatigue can be just as harmful as open conflict, slowly eroding focus and unity without anyone fully realizing it is happening. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. What makes this saga resonate so strongly is how relatable it feels to anyone who has seen power dynamics play out in high-pressure environments. The rumor suggests that many inside the club see themselves reflected in this struggle, torn between loyalty to a collective and the desire to speak honestly when something feels wrong. This is not being framed as heroes versus villains behind closed doors, but as a messy collision of perspectives, each convinced they are acting in the best interest of the club. That nuance, however, is often lost once stories reach the outside world, where narratives are simplified and sides are chosen. Insiders worry that once a version of events becomes accepted publicly, it becomes almost impossible to reverse, even if it is incomplete or misleading. That fear is driving much of the current caution, with everyone wary of adding fuel to a fire they are already struggling to contain. There is also speculation about how this episode could influence future leadership within the squad. Captains and senior players across the game are watching closely, seeing this as a case study in what happens when internal concerns are pushed beyond private conversations. Some believe it could discourage honesty, creating a culture where problems are buried rather than addressed. Others think it could eventually lead to healthier dialogue, if the fallout forces structural changes in how communication flows. Within the club itself, younger players are said to be particularly affected, unsure which example to follow and anxious about saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. That uncertainty can stunt confidence, making players more cautious both on and off the pitch, which in turn affects the overall energy of the group. As the rumors continue to swirl, one thing seems increasingly clear to those paying close attention. This is no longer just a story about an outburst or a disagreement, but about identity, values, and the future direction of the club. Decisions made in the coming period, even if they appear minor on the surface, could set patterns that last for years. Whether the club emerges stronger or more divided will depend on how willing all sides are to listen, to compromise, and to accept that no one holds the full truth alone. Until that happens, the speculation will keep growing, the silence will keep speaking, and every move will be watched with a level of scrutiny that few environments can comfortably withstand. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.